Now, before you get your shorts in a knot, yeah, I said I quit collecting in the thumbnail, and I'm not lying about that. That was not clickbait necessarily. I have been on the ride of a lifetime the last, the last couple of months especially, as I have completely begun reevaluating my life choices. Now, this started way back just after last Christmas, the end of 2020, the beginning of 2021, with a video I did with my cousin Mike that we called The Purge. And we went through my PlayStation 1 collection on a video, and we talked about all the games in the PS1 library that we would keep and which ones we could be happy to get rid of. So that started me off on something very shortly after that. In the next couple of months, my friend Smash JT made a video saying retro games are pointless. And while I don't agree that retro games are pointless, owning ridiculous amounts of games that you don't play is kind of pointless, at least for me. Now, for those of you out there who have huge collections and you're super duper proud of them and you're super engaged with your collection and with the community, I'm happy for you. You know what? I was you. I was there. For decades, I have been a collector of all kinds of things, and I kind of still am. But with video games, I have come to a specific fork in the road, and that's what this video is about. So over the last particularly couple of weeks, actually all year since that video that my friend Smash JT made about retro video games being pointless, I actually made a roundtable video including him and diving deeper into that topic, and then I went on a 90-day challenge with Kaz. You see him on the podcast. And on that 90-day challenge, we did not buy any new video games of any kind, new or old video games, and we made a list of games on those 90 days that we wanted to check out, put some serious time into, at least 30 minutes per day for a week for each game, to really give those games a chance to catch our attention before we started buying more and more and more games. Now, I didn't make it all the way through that challenge. Kaz did, but I learned some valuable lessons there for myself, and it's really important for me to come to this point where I realize that I have too much damn crap. And you know what's been going on in the video game market for the last couple of years during all this pandemic? We've had something called pandemic pricing. This is everybody stuck at home, nothing to do. All of a sudden they're interested in video games and things like that maybe they wouldn't have been so much more interested in before when they had a life. So now retro video games of all description, were just going up and up and up and up in price. Things were getting crazy, and it was a steady climb all through 2020 and 2021. So I started trading in some games shortly after Christmas last year. Coming into the new year, I took in a handful of what I would consider to be lesser important titles, some sports games, some shovelware, some stuff that I just didn't really care that much about, some low quality racing games and things of that nature. And I was shocked at how much money I got. I walked out of there with, I think it was $200 or $300 for stuff that I had paid $1 or $2 for at a thrift store over the course of months and years of collecting. And that gave me the bug to see, okay, what value do I have in this collection? I've got to see what I can do to minimize the clutter and maximize. Now, another guy that I follow, and I was actually watching his video tonight, Retro Bird. If you haven't checked him out, go look him up on YouTube. He does fantastic topical videos, a couple videos a week, and he was doing a video talking about big and small collections and what makes a collection good. And this really has been what I have been thinking about for the last year. What makes my collection good? Because for years, decades, I've been collecting based on what everybody else says is good, or what those must-play games or must-own. If you're a GameCube collector, you have to have Fire Emblem, you have to have Chibi Robo. These are the big desirable titles. on the library. And for years and years, I've been chasing those must-haves, those keys, those hidden gems, those games that everybody says you just need to have, need to play, whatever. But my experience is I had nearly 1,000 games, and I was barely playing 20 games a year. At that rate, I would never be able to play all these games. I had a ridiculous, when I first started on YouTube, I was of the opinion that in order to be legitimate, you had to have a huge wall of games behind you. You had to, flex for all intents and purposes, to show off how legit you were by how many games you had. And I've realized over the close to 2 years that I've been here in YouTube that this stuff doesn't matter if it doesn't reflect who you are. If you've got a story to tell about something behind you, then it matters. But if it's just random stuff that you bought because it's a must-have, because you're going for a complete collection, or whatever the case may be, for me, I have decided to curate my collection, and I have gone from 1,000 games, which was still not a big collection by a lot of people's standards. I've gone from 1,000 games down to less than 200 games in my collection, and now every single one of the games in my collection across the 4 or 5 consoles that I'm still collecting for, every single one of these games means something to me. These games are games that I have either played and loved previously, or games that I intend to play and know that I will love. So, Atelier Ryza 2 on the Nintendo Switch. I'm playing Atelier Ryza 1. I have it digitally on the Switch, and I was able to find this when it came out physically for a good price, and I'm pretty excited to play this. I love the Atelier series. I have about 5 or 6 of the games on the shelves behind me, and these are games that I care about, and I'm going to work my way through these games and enjoy every minute of it. One of the best platformers I have ever played is Crash Bandicoot 4. I've loved it on the Xbox One. I love it on the Switch. This is a fantastic game that I'm going to replay over and over and over for years to come. Really creative game. Never a fan of Minecraft, but I sure love Dragon Quest Builders 2 because it solves every problem I have with Minecraft, which is Minecraft is completely directionless, and that's kind of the point, I guess. But I like a game with a little bit of structure that tells you, go build this, go do that, here's a bit of story, here's some challenges, here's some combat. So I really love Dragon Quest Builders 2, and this is a game that I really want to dive into further and that I would never part with because I just love it so much. Another game, Diablo 3. Diablo 3 is a fantastic game that I can just go back to over and over and over again. And, I've learned something about the types of games that I like, and particularly when it comes to Diablo-style combat, where you're looking in a top-down sort of dungeon sort of a scenario where it's hack-and-slash combat, really simple but really kinetic. Love it. Also love Hades, which is not exactly Diablo, but it's that same kind of combat, and I love it to death. And then Fire Emblem Three Houses. I love the Fire Emblem series. I have yet to start playing this game, but I am really looking forward to it. So that gives you an idea of the kinds of things that I am keeping in my collection going forward. But see, the really interesting thing here is I have sold thousands of dollars worth of stuff this year and reinvested that money in this YouTube channel for you. So check it out. A couple weeks ago, I gathered up, probably close to 200 games, some special editions, some really valuable stuff, the most valuable stuff in my collection. I put it all together. I took it into somebody that was willing to, at a store that was willing to give me 60% of book value all at once, without any haggling, without any problems. So I took it in, I sold it, I got $3,000, and I went straight to the Apple store and I bought a Apple Mac computer. Absolutely love it. Huge learning curve moving from Windows to Mac, but it has been worth it. The journey has been worth it because I'm going to be able to improve my craft, not having to worry about so many technical bugs in the machine from my old computer that was giving me so many problems, and I was able to pick up Final Cut Pro, and the process of learning how to edit videos on Final Cut Pro is part of the reason why you haven't seen many videos from me in the last several weeks, because I've been relearning all the basics of the things that I need to do. But I am absolutely in love with this Mac computer, and I bought a 4K TV, which I've never had a 4K TV before, and I'm absolutely blown away by how gorgeous it looks hooked up to that Mac computer. It's a Mac Mini. Absolutely the greatest investment that I've made. And the thing is, I can barely name 5 games that I sold. That's the thing. Like, the stuff that I sold might have looked good on a shelf, but I didn't really care about it. And I really do care about this Mac computer that I got. Say what you will about Mac, but they seem to be doing kind of a turnaround. They seem to be coming up in the world again. They've really corrected a lot of the errors of the last 5 or 6 years. So then, I really got the bug and I said, okay, what else can I sell? Well, I had a pretty decent comic book collection, about 1,600 books all told, not including the special edition stuff, the hardcovers, which I'm keeping forever, but just your standard floppy comic books. I had a couple thousand almost of them, and I managed to sell those very quickly and turn that money into the camera that you're watching me talk to right now, a Sony a6100. Now I'm able to present to you in 4K. I was also able to pick up these awesome Rode Wireless Go mics, which is raising the quality of my audio as we speak. I'm sure you can hear the difference. So, I have managed to get some real value out of the things that didn't really matter to me the way that they should have, or maybe the way that they do to some of you. But I have stuff here that I am now excited because as I refined my collection and got rid of the bloat, got rid of the stuff that was quite honestly giving me anxiety, there was an anxiety there to having 1,000 games that I felt like I owed it to the world, that I owed it to myself to play and beat those games because I had spent good money on those games. Well, now that pressure is gone. Now I have around 200 games that I have either played or intend to play soon. Games like Happy Home Designer. This is the game that the new Animal Crossing DLC was based on, Happy Home Paradise. Well, this is Happy Home Designer that kind of works with New Leaf. Super excited to check this out because Animal Crossing has become a staple in my life, something that I play every single day. And, understanding myself to know that games like Animal Crossing or Story of Seasons, here we have, I didn't bring it out here, but I have Story of Seasons Trio of Towns on the 3DS, which is thought of as a really good one and one that I'm really excited to get into and check out. I've got games here like the first Monster Hunter Stories on the 3DS. I picked this up because I bought Monster Hunter Stories 2 on the Switch and I loved it and I wanted to go back and play the original game, so I'm looking forward to that. Just before Metroid Dread came out, Metroid Dread's amazing by the way, and I did not sell that. Metroid Samus Returns on the 3DS. I wanted to go back and play the most modern Samus game that I possibly could before Metroid Dread came out, and I never really got around to getting very far into the game, so that's something I'm really looking forward to. And of course, really great titles like Tales of the Abyss on the 3DS, which my friend Tart Gauntlet says is one of the best games on the 3DS, and I'm always looking for great handheld experiences, and now that my collection is focused, it's focused down to the Switch, the 3DS, the DS, and the PSP. That's pretty much all I collect for. I do have a few other consoles and a few random games for them. I kept my PS3 because I have great memories of playing Call of Duty games with my cousin Mike, so I kept all the Call of Duty games and the PS3, and it's here ready to be used anytime. Kept my Wii because of a few Rune Factory games and things that I really like on it. But, other than that, it's pretty much those 4 handheld consoles, and I'm looking forward to the Steam Deck, which has been delayed but should be coming up pretty darn soon. Anyways, guys, thanks for sticking around for this big, long ramble. I guess the point to this whole conversation is that, no, I'm not a collector. I'm not a collector of anything anymore. I am going to buy what I am going to consume here on in. So I'll still grab pre-orders to talk about here on the channel. Games that I am interested in playing, I will buy them, play them when they're relevant, and talk to you about them. But I am no longer buying games on games on games on games just to build a collection. So while I will accumulate games over time, I will not be collecting, so to speak. And that goes for comic books, and that goes for all the other things that I have been collecting for decades. That behavior is over thanks to the huge change and the huge value that I was able to get out of liquidating these things that I have been collecting for decades. And look, I still have some cool stuff on the shelves behind me, stuff that I cherish and stuff that I will not get rid of. I absolutely love my Disney VHS and my cool 80s action movie VHS, and I love my Star Trek and my Star Wars and things like that, and that stuff is always going to be a part of who I am, and that's always going to be represented on the shelves behind me. But no more will I just be spending my weekends thrifting and flea market hunting and garage sailing. Instead, I'm going to spend that time actually playing games. God forbid, right? Actually playing these games rather than hunting for them and accumulating them and spending ridiculous amounts of money on them. I'm just going to play them. Thanks so much, guys. If you're new here, hit that subscribe button. There's all kinds of new content that is planned over the holidays and coming into 2022. Smash the like button if you would. It helps it a ton, gets it out in front of more eyeballs, which really does help me be motivated to bring more content. Thanks so much, guys. See you in the next video. Stay classy.